To our dear teacher, Doc Corazon Vicino, and my dear classmates, good day. I am Mr. Mark Jun Condada from the City Schools Division of Victorias, and I was tasked to discuss with you the anthropological foundation of education. It is believed that education is deeply rooted in the context of human culture, social structures, and belief systems. The anthropological foundation of education examines how diverse cultural practices, traditions, and values influences the learning process and the educational system. So what is meant by anthropology? Anthropology derives from two Greek words, anthropy and logi. Anthropy, which means man, and logi, which means science of man or study of mankind. Anthropology refers to science that treats the origin, development, whether it's physical, intellectual, and moral, and particularly the cultural development, costumes, and belief of a man. Education as its core refers to the pursuit of knowledge. Anthropology is the study of culture and its people. Since inherent learning structures are part of anthropology in terms of human development, education can be considered a primary feature of people and their culture. In other words, without education, there would be no possibility for people to persist in their cultural development, and there would be less emphasis on studying the cultural trends. In the process of education, history is being studied, which is the main and the basic record of culture. Hence, it cannot be denied that it is being nourished by education. The needs of society, whether religious, social, cultural, or psychological, all of these are fulfilled by education. One important function of education is the preservation of culture. Continuity of man's social life is possible through this process. What is being meant by culture? Culture in its anthropological image, it is the man-made part of human development. It is a way of life of a specific group of people. According to Robert Redfield, culture is an organized body of conventional understandings manifest in arts and artifacts which persisting to traditions characterizes a human group. In other words, culture serves as guide, roadmap, in which it serves as the rules and regulation for people, permitting them to live in a peaceful way. Culture may be classified into two, the static and dynamic. Culture is static when there is cultural transmission, meaning the culture is passed from generation to generation. It is dynamic when it emphasizes change, meaning it goes through revision or changes with each generation. At this time, let us discuss the forms of culture. There are two forms of culture, the material and the non-material. When we talk about material culture, it consists of tangible things like houses, clothing, tools, and appliances like TV, while the non-material culture refers to what is symbolic or intangible, such as folkways, sentiment, costumes, belief, and knowledge. For examples, when we talk about folkways, it refers to the traditional ways of doing things in a given culture. Just like pamanhikan, where the boy's parent will ask for the girl's hand in marriage. Another example is costume, wherein when we talk about costume, it refers to the habitual practice. Say, for example, in Philippine setting, if we have a visitor that happens to arrive at our house during lunch, it is automatically that we're going to invite them to eat with us, to eat lunch with us. At this time, let us talk about characteristic of culture. First characteristic is culture is learned, not inherited. Culture is being learned through your interaction with other people. Next is culture is transmitted by orally and writing. These two are what we call communication patterns. Culture is being passed through interaction or talking with other people and writing an email or a letter. Third is culture is shared. It supports the first characteristic that culture is learned simply because culture is learned by sharing or through interaction with other members of society. Fourth one is culture is patterned and integrated. It is patterned in the social life dimension, and it is integrated by learning other culture without losing your own culture. Next is culture is compulsory. It is compulsory simply because culture sets standards, rules, and regulation for you to be able to fit in your society. Next is the sixth one is culture is dynamic and adaptive. Culture is ever changing. It changes and adapts to the new situation of the society. It continually develops and changes. Another characteristic of culture is functional. It is functional because each culture has a function to perform. Its purpose is to provide guidelines for behavior of a group of people. Next is culture is social phenomenon, meaning to say human beings create culture. Culture is the result from the human interaction and it is unique to human society. Next is culture is prescriptive, meaning to say culture prescribe or set down or imposes rules of social behavior. Culture is arbitrary, meaning to say cultural practices and behaviors are subject to judgment. Certain behaviors are acceptable in one culture while in some culture it is not acceptable. Culture is value laden. Culture provides us or tell us what is wrong and what is right. Culture is long term, meaning to say it developed 1,000 years ago and it was accumulated by human being in the course of time. Next is culture satisfy needs. Culture helps to satisfy the needs of the member of society by offering direction and guidance. What are the functions of culture? Culture is important and useful in many ways. Through culture, communication is possible by means of a language that is learned. People belonging to the same culture can anticipate how others may respond to their actions. The culture provides standards for differentiating right and wrong, beautiful and ugly, tragic and humorous, safe and dangerous, reasonable and unreasonable. Among Christians, for example, premarital sex is considered immoral but not among the Igorots. To the Muslims, it is all right to have more than one wife, but not to the Christian. A tattooed body is considered beautiful by some African tribes, but it is ugly in the eye of others. Children are trained to behave in ways approved by the group. Every culture provides the knowledge and skills needed for its survival. Through their culture, people identify with others and feel a sense of belonging. So finally, let's wrap up this discussion with the implication of anthropological foundation of education. Anthropological foundation of education emphasizes the importance of diversity, cultural understanding, critical thinking, and social justice in educational practices and policies. By integrating anthropological perspectives into education, teachers or educators can create more inclusive, responsive, and equitable learning experiences for students from diverse backgrounds. And these are my references. Once again, I am Sir Marjan Condada. Thank you for joining me today. Remember to stay active, keep learning, and strive for growth in all areas of your life. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.